Welcome back to Younique and congratulations. You've made it to our final session of this 6-week journey. Take a moment to celebrate where we've been and how God has shown you more about who God created you to be in these last 6 weeks. During this final session, we're going to talk about your goal, the target God has for you to aim at, now that you understand your story, gifting, passion, and calling. Be sure you've watched the teaching video for Session 6 at lifeunique.com/primer before continuing with this video. If you're in a life group, once you've watched that video, take a few moments for everyone to share their 2 words from Session 5 and celebrate each other together. Record your group's 2 words on page 51 in your primer. Then talk about the table questions at the bottom of that page. Now that you've had a chance to celebrate, we're going to take a look at our focus for today. Today we want to take all that we have learned so far and aim it at the greatest point of impact in our lives. We call this point of impact your goal. It is the target at which the arrow of your life is being shot. During this session, we will discover together the power that having a 90-day goal produces in our lives. Remember the big thought for today. Your goal focuses your calling toward one point of impact in order to create exponential breakthrough in your life. The challenge for today is to name your 90-day goal, and we're going to take a look at a couple of tools to help you do that. The first tool we're going to look at is called the Urgent and Important Matrix. This tool will help you identify how urgent needs threaten to steal attention from important ones. Take a look at this tool on page 53 in your primer. You'll see that it's organized on 2 axes, urgency and importance, and that divides the matrix into 4 quadrants. Quadrant 1 in the top right are the tasks that have high urgency and high importance. These are the tasks that when they come along, you know you just have to drop everything and take care of them immediately. Quadrant 2 is for tasks that have high importance but low urgency. This is the area where you want to be spending most of your time, because this is where your actions will have the biggest impact and where you'll find the most fulfillment as you live out your calling, utilize your gifting, and engage with your passion. Quadrant 3 is where we tend to get stuck if we're not careful. Tasks that are highly urgent but really not that important. We all have these kinds of tasks that need to be done in order for our lives to hold together, but they don't really fulfill our calling, use our gifts, or engage our passion. They don't move our lives forward. This is the realm of what's been called the tyranny of the urgent. Everybody needs you to do something for them, and they need it done right now. But their priorities don't match up with your calling. Or you find yourself so busy with little urgent tasks that you never get to step back and assess whether you're doing the things that are really most important to you. When someone or something else is setting your agenda, you often don't get to live into the calling God has for your life. And finally, Quadrant 4 is the low urgency, low importance tasks. These are tasks that we may gravitate toward when we're worn out and we know we just need to do something, but we don't have the energy to do something significant. The best thing we can do with these tasks is give them to somebody else, if we can. Now, these tasks usually feel like a weight to us, but they may be exactly what somebody else is passionate about and called to do. Take a few minutes now, pause the video, and think about the tasks you need to do over the next few days. List them out, and then from that list, assign them to one of the 4 quadrants of the urgent, important matrix. If there is one area or one side of the matrix where most of your tasks fall, what could you change in your life so that you could start doing more of the things that are most important to you? You can pause the video now and take a few minutes to complete this exercise. The other tool we're going to look at today is the 90-day goal funnel on page 54. Now, you've used a funnel like this in session 4 to help identify your passion. Now, we're going to use it to help you focus on one big goal to work toward over the next 90 days. You can pause the video at any point and take the time you need to complete this exercise. There are examples on pages 55 and 56 that can help you as well. Start by writing at least 6 potential 90-day goals at the top of the funnel diagram. Now, at this point, these goals don't need to be specific. They just need to make reference to something in your life that would benefit from your attention. Think especially about those tasks in quadrant 2 that you want to do, but that may get crowded out by more urgent matters. Consider the following questions to help you brainstorm. You can also find these questions at the bottom of page 54. Questions like, what goal would move me closer to living out my special calling fully? What might be a fitting next step from what God has been doing in my life to date? What am I most motivated to accomplish? What goal would still motivate me 6 weeks from now? What goal, if accomplished, would set me up for my next goal? Now that you've written some possible goals, take a few minutes to pray over them. Ask God to indicate to you where you need to focus your effort for the next 90 days. Now, determine which potential 90-day goal will bring the most breakthrough in your life. It may be one of the goals you've written down, it may be a combination of these goals, or it may be something completely new. Take another look at the brainstorming questions at the bottom of page 54 to help you in this discernment process. A goal that appears to fit multiple questions may be the right one God has for you in this season. Next, rewrite your new 90-day goal in a way that makes it SMART. Specific, a defined target. Measurable, attach a number to the goal. Attainable, make it something you can achieve, God helping you, in the next 90 days. Don't make it easy enough to do without God's help, but don't make it so hard that it would take a miracle either. Relevant, make the goal coherent with your special calling. And finally, time-bound, give a defined due date, about 90 days from now. Write your new SMART goal in the box below the funnel on page 54. You may also want to write it on a note card to carry it with you, or put it in a note on your phone so you can be reminded of it every day for the next 90 days. Let this goal drive the things you do and the decisions you make over the next 90 days, and see how God works in your life. That brings us to the end of session 6 and to the end of our Younique journey. Congratulations on the discoveries that you've made and the ways you've grown closer to God over the last 6 weeks. To conclude our study, I want to share some inspiration with you. This comes from Acts chapter 13, verses 36 and 37. Those verses say, "Now when David had served God's purpose in his own generation, he fell asleep. He was buried with his ancestors, and his body decayed. But the one whom God raised from the dead did not see decay." Now that may not sound very inspirational, but I want you to notice 2 things. First, David served God's purpose in his generation. He fulfilled the calling God had for his life, and he's remembered as a man after God's own heart. Just like David, you can serve God's purpose for your life in this generation. You can discover and fulfill the calling God has for you and the reason you were created. And I hope that over the last 6 weeks, you've taken the first steps of a lifelong journey toward living out the calling God has for you. Second, when David had fulfilled his purpose, he died and his body decayed. The same will be true for all of us one day. Just as David said before he died, "I'm about to go the way of all the world." All of us will go that way someday. But Jesus, whom God raised from the dead, is alive and with us to help us live into the purpose for which he created us. Jesus is alive and with us to teach us, to guide us, to lead us into all righteousness, to shape our lives so that we can become the people God created us to be. So as we conclude this study, as you move forward with a better understanding of your story, calling, gifting, and passion, remember that this is just the beginning of the journey of the rest of your life. Jesus is with you on the road ahead, and He will be with you every step of the way. Go now and live into the purpose for which you were created, and let Jesus lead you, so that when you reach the end of the road of this life, people will be able to say that you, like David, served God's purpose in your generation.